invasion of Ukraine tops the world headlines for 2022, and the world said goodbye to Britain's Queen Elizabeth. CBS's Ian Lee takes a look back at the international stories that shaped our world this year.
War engulfed Eastern Europe when Russia invaded Ukraine in February. Millions of refugees fled their homes, while the fighting killed tens of thousands on both sides, including thousands of Ukrainian civilians. The conflict also triggered an energy crisis because of the world's dependence on Russia's oil and gas. Russia released American basketball star Brittany Griner in a high-stakes prisoner swap with the U.S. She was serving 9 years for bringing cannabis oil into the country, but the White House released Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout from a U.S. prison in exchange for her freedom. A U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri, who had taken over after the killing of Osama bin Laden.
Justice has been delivered.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to build the world's most powerful nuclear force as the country tested an unprecedented number of missiles, heightening tensions on the Korean peninsula. Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated during a political speech. Police arrested the suspected shooter on the spot, who used a homemade gun in the killing. The Beijing Olympics went ahead, but with all the masks and COVID testing, it was far from the usual Winter Games. Later in the year, China lifted its most severe restrictions after its zero-COVID strategy led to landmark protests in major cities. With tensions rising in the Holy Land, 2022 proved to be one of the deadliest years for Palestinians in the West Bank. Around 150 Palestinians were killed, along with more than 24 Israelis. An Israeli soldier killed American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, prompting the FBI to open an investigation. In Iran, the death of a young woman in custody for breaking the country's dress code led to a deadly government crackdown on protesters. Queen Elizabeth celebrated 70 years on the British throne in June and died 3 months later. The monarch's funeral drew foreign leaders from around the world. Political turmoil in the UK led to a string of new prime ministers, which ushered in Britain's first leader of color, Rishi Sunak. Sunak joined President Biden and other world leaders in Egypt for the COP27 climate conference in November, where countries agreed to create a fund to support nations most vulnerable to climate disasters. And Mother Nature put on quite a show in 2022. The most powerful volcano in 140 years erupted off the coast of Tonga, while the land of fire and ice drew thousands of tourists as lava gushed from one of Iceland's 32 volcanoes. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
2022 also brought devastating deadly floods to Pakistan, putting a third of the country underwater, causing about $15 billion worth of damage.